I welcome you to a little bit different of a gentle yoga practice. I am Ashley Clarke of Earthkeeper Yoga, and I'm here once again in my home studio here in Birmingham, Alabama, and I welcome you. So the thing that's kind of been tugging at my heartstrings a little bit lately is that as we move back into the world, we learned that we need to slow down. We learned during those times of having to cocoon ourselves and reel everything in, dial everything back, that we hopefully learned a little bit more about what we need. So as we move back into a season of planning for schools to move back into session and more workplaces asking us to come back to the office, I want to make sure that there are some resources available for you when you need to slow down and give yourself just a few moments of self-care. So we will not be doing any balancing poses, no warrior twos, not anything like that. So our props for today are extremely important. I want you to have a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, find some really firm, small bolster size pillows. If you don't have access to your trusty yoga blanket, grab a beach towel or a small, maybe thin quilt. That would even work. And then finally, I have a yoga bolster. So this is pretty firm. It's great for so many different ways that we are going to experience and use it here today. If you don't have access to a yoga bolster, find the firmest pillow that you can. All right, go grab what you need and I'll meet you right here on the mat. As we get started today, I want you to know that we will be doing a type of yoga that is known as yin yoga, Y-I-N. And the great thing about yin is that it's very slow. It's very meditative, and you hold postures for a longer period of time. In addition, we have cold bodies, so we're coming at this through a lot of really cold stretches. So I invite you just to come along and feel good. All right, as we get started, let's go ahead and come down onto our backs. Let's move those blocks about halfway down the mat, move the bolster. I'm gonna put mine on this side just so you can see me. And then we will bend the knees, move the blanket, move all of the things out of the way, but have them close. Come down onto your back. Keep those knees lifted towards the sky. And I want you to think about the placement of your chin. So it's parallel or in line with the shoulders, not dipped down, not lifted up, just there, just with the nose pointed straight up towards the sky. And then we'll send those arms into a nice big wide T. We've got some options with the legs here. You can keep the knees just like they are. If it feels like you're having to engage too much through the legs, then maybe shimmy the feet out just a little bit and let the knees fall in towards one another. Now I invite you to close your eyes. Give yourself that cleansing breath in through the nose, sigh it out through the mouth. And just give yourself a few moments here just to find a little gratitude for the mat, completely taking your weight, your emotional, physical, mental weight. Let the mat just receive that for you. And continue to allow yourself to breathe in and out through the nose. Acknowledging your physical, mental, emotional self right here in this moment. Let those breaths begin to deepen just a bit. Notice the body beginning to calm and find peace right here. The tension at the brow just melts away, the jaw relaxes. The shoulders relax, sinking down towards the mat. And the heart rises and falls. Allowing that air just to move in and out of your body. Give yourself 3 more breaths. Beautiful. When that feels complete, slowly flutter your eyes back open. We're going to find just a moment of dead bug here. So send those legs up towards the sky. Send the hands up towards the sky. And then let those shoulders just drift back down to the mat. Check the placement of the chin. And then just circle gently the ankles and the wrists. Wiggle the toes and the fingers. Beautiful. Go ahead and bend those knees and roll onto your favorite side. Use the hand from the top arm to press yourself up. And then we'll move those blocks just a little bit. We're going to bring the legs nice and wide. I'm going to send my tailbone right off the front of my blanket. And then we're going to take these blocks. We're going to put the first block on the lowest setting, right in between the legs, just maybe about 6 inches from our center. And then the second block we're going to put on what we call the medium setting, just a little bit behind that. I'm going to take my bolster and I'm going to put the front of the bolster right on the floor, right between my legs, and then let the back of the bolster come to that top block. So the bolster is going to be completely supported. And then just bring the hands to the legs. You press the tailbone into the floor, ripple through the spine, send the crown of the head up towards the sky. And then give yourself an inhale, lift the hands up over your head, keep the shoulders in line with the rest of the upper body, and then slowly let yourself melt onto the bolster. So just turn one cheek towards it and let everything melt. We've got a nice big arch in the low back, but we're completely supported here. Big cold stretch through the legs. If it's too much for your legs, you can bring them in just a little bit. And just begin to breathe in and out. Notice if you're clenching the teeth. Notice if there is any constriction to the breath. And we're going to hold this for quite a few minutes. So notice if you've started to let that mind just wander. See if you can reconnect to that breath moving in and out through the nose. Let's give it about 4 more breaths. And give yourself a cleansing breath right here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then slowly press your hands into the floor. We're going to bring ourselves right back up to seated. When you get here, I'm going to invite you to take your bolster and you're going to put it on your right thigh. It's going to come all the way up towards the belly and just giving it a little touch there. And then you can move your blocks out of the way for a moment. Bring both hands to the top of the bolster. We're going to take an inhale. Start to twist the heart towards that bolster and then just let yourself roll over it. If you need to stack palms to make a little bit more space, go right ahead. And bring the top of your tongue to the top of your mouth to keep you from wanting to clench the teeth here. Keep the jaw nice and soft. And stay with the breath as to not let the mind wander any more than it has to. And so allow yourself this time to make space within the body and within the breath. And give yourself 3 more breaths. Take an inhale. As you exhale, slowly let yourself come back up. We're going to move to the other side. So just take that bolster over to the left leg. Let the one side of the bolster touch the belly. Hands come to the top of the bolster. Inhale, give yourself a little twist there. And then exhale to roll on top of the bolster. Palms stack. Forehead can come to the top of the back of the palms. Or you could use one of those blocks here just to make some more space. Stay with the breath. And if the mind really starts to wander, just let everything come back to the awareness of your body, moving in and out with breath. Notice the places that show up that feel constricted or feel like there's a tender, gentle opening there. Notice tension rising up in the body. See where you can soften. And give yourself about 4 more breaths. And take an inhale. And then exhale, slow rise up. Beautiful. You're going to take this bolster and put it outside the right hip. And then I'm going to move my blocks. So then I'm going to bend my right knee. I can keep my left leg straight and send it down the mat just a little bit, but I want this bolster right outside of the right hip. We're going to take that stretch just a little bit deeper. So take an inhale, twist over to the right towards the bolster, and then slowly let yourself fall down. Now, if it feels okay, bend this left knee. Reposition that left foot. And allow yourself to melt right here. Use blocks if you need more space for the head. Notice that gentle pull on the outside of the left hip. Notice the slowing of the breath and the reaching down of the shoulders, rounding in towards the bolster. And give it 4 more breaths. Slowly press your hands into the mat on either side of your bolster to press yourself up. And then we're just going to straighten the legs through center, bend the left knee, and let this bolster come over outside of the left hip. Now you can start with the right leg bent if that's what you need. If you know you're going to want to put your head on that block to create some more space, you can go ahead and do that. Make sure the outside of the thigh is touching the bolster. Inhale to twist. And exhale to fold onto the bolster. I'm feeling some opening through the shoulder blades. Bend that right knee if it feels okay to stack the knees or have maybe the left sole of the foot's touching the top of the right thigh. Maybe there's a block under the right knee just to let that leg feel supported here as well. Big deep breaths. Soften the brow. Stay with the breath. And give it 4 more. Beautiful. Press your hands into either side of the bolster to bring yourself up. We'll move this block out of the way for just a moment. And then we're going to set, we're going to set the blocks up. So we're going to come back to that lowest setting. And then we're going to come back to the second block being a little bit closer towards the back of the mat on the middle setting, the medium setting. Then we're going to take that bolster, set it up in the same way that we did when we put it right between the legs. And then we're going to send our tailbone towards the bolster. Now, if you have a really thick one like I do, this is a space that you could take your blanket and put it right at the base of the bolster to kind of lift up the hips. And the legs can be straight out in front of you, or you can bend the knees. All you're going to do is roll back onto the bolster. You're going to feel the heart open. Send the arms out into a nice big wide T. You can keep those knees bent. Maybe this time the knees fall in towards one another. And find the breath. Allow yourself to completely soak and sink in right here. And keep your thoughts on the breath. And give yourself 3 more nice big deep breaths, really breathing into the heart space. Beautiful. Start to shimmy those knees together. Roll over onto one side. You'll find your elbow and then your hips and your knees connected to the floor. And then you can just press yourself back up. So undo all of your props. You can move the blanket out of the way. We're going to keep the bolster and the blocks out of the way as well. And for our final posture together, we're going to do a legs up the wall Shavasana. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to bring your hip, either one, all the way next to the wall. And then you're going to come down to elbows and start to move the hips as you spin so that the legs can be completely supported by the wall. The arms can come into a T, the legs can stay straight. You can bring them out into a V. This is a great way to just give the heart a little break. It's very restorative. So do what you need to do here. Give yourself a cleansing breath. Check the position of the chin. And rest. I invite you to bring some awareness back into this space. And keeping the head connected to the back of the mat, just let the nose move towards either shoulder. And to come down off the wall, just walk those feet over towards one side until you can bend the knees, and you'll end at that position where you're on one side with the knees up towards the belly button. Resting here for just another moment. And when you feel ready, you can take that top arm, take that hand, press it into the floor to bring yourself back up to a seat. We'll meet there together with hands at heart, chin bowed down towards chest. May you know kindness, and may you remember that you cannot fill anyone or anything from an empty cup. Gratitude for practicing with me today. Namaste.